Hello and welcome to Business Insider with Mario Toneguzzi on YYC Business, brought to you by MegaPixx Media. Joining me today is Taz Rajan, who is Community Engagement Partner with Bromwich Smith in Calgary. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Mario, for having me.
Well, I'm curious. I want to talk to you about a survey that the company recently released. Let's start with one of the most important things that I saw from that survey was 9 in 10 people believe that socioeconomic advances and progress that have been made in recent years have been set back because of the pandemic. Can you talk a little bit about that, Taz?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really interesting. We posed that question just to get a feel, a bit of a temperature gauge, right, of where Canadians are. And we did want to, we don't have the hard facts of, how socioeconomic groups have been set back, but wanted to get a feel for our Canadians feeling that certain groups, visible minorities, women, seniors, those, that are maybe disabled is the Canadian populace kind of feeling that those socioeconomic groups have been set back by this pandemic. And that's, part of the greater survey that we kind of wanted to see what the sentiment is. And yeah, really interesting, most Canadians felt certain groups were certainly set back. The ones that I did talk about, the biggest one that they felt, of course, was low-income earners really were set back by the pandemic.
Yeah, and obviously, all those groups are, have been struggling on their own right, prior to pandemic, and this just kind of exacerbates things, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's tough to see because those are already groups of people that are vulnerable, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. Here's an interesting thing I found, and I'm sure you'll have some interesting comments about, but 45% of people felt that people who don't pay debt are irresponsible, 25% felt they were selfish, and 18% felt they were just plain lazy.
Yes.
What did you think of those results, and what do they indicate?
Well, so, lazy, selfish, irresponsible, these are things we hear all the time from our clients at Bromwich Smith, either that they're saying about themselves. And I don't know, if you have, Mario, but I've struggled with debt. And these are things that I was saying, my own internal dialogue, let alone what people outsiders say, right? We can be the hardest on ourselves, I feel. So yes, those are high numbers. When you say 45% of Canadians thought that if you're not paying your debts, you're irresponsible. But what's really nice to see, we did the same survey about a year ago, and we're actually seeing more empathy. So even though 45% of Canadians are saying you're probably irresponsible for not paying your debt, a year ago, that was 54%. And same with the other stats. If you look at, the number of people that said that people were lazy or selfish, it's actually come down. So that is an indication that there's a little more empathy today towards people that are unable to pay off their debts than there was even a year ago. And even a year ago, we were in pandemic. It was really like the kind of the height and the start of the pandemic. So to me, when you say, what do these numbers say to you? It's a sign of hope to me that, we are seeing an increase of empathy for people that struggle with their debt.
Why do you think the increase in empathy is there?
Honestly, I think that a lot of people that never pictured that they would ever struggle financially have probably experienced some different things through the pandemic, whether that's losing your job or, their business is going down. And the fact that it's lasted as long as it has, I think it's a bit of humble pie for, all of us to realize that we're sitting in some glass houses.
Yeah, exactly. There's also, one of the things the survey talks about is the stigma of being in debt. Can you talk a little bit about that? And obviously a lot of people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to show others that they are in debt, etc. But it's something that needs to be discussed, though, right?
Absolutely. And that's, honestly been my focus for so long. Let's normalize this conversation of debt because, in that moment when you're in the struggle yourself, you feel like, I know these were some of my thoughts, right? I'm stupid. How could I do this? And you feel like you're the only one. I mean, you think about, Mario, we're all on social media, right? And everyone on social media is showing all these great things, right? Just bought a house, just bought a car. Look at this shopping spree we went on, going on this vacation. And you're like, how come they can do it all? And, I'm struggling. And the reality is, so there, there is still some stigma around, yes, around debt, around mental health, around a lot of these different things. But again, the stigma piece is one that we saw some good movement on, some positive movement on. So, now more than ever, people are saying, hey, we had 75% saying they're feeling less judgmental about people who struggle with money and debt or insolvency. That's huge. And to your point, Mario, when you were saying, we need to start talking about this, the part, again, thing that gives me hope is 37% of Canadians are willing to talk to a debt professional, like a licensed insolvency trustee, about their debt. Huge.
Well, and the thing is today we're seeing more people in debt for a number of reasons, right? And obviously the economy, and Calgary is a good example of this. Good, I use that word
loosely,
really. But the thing is that we've been in challenging times since late 2014 when the oil prices collapsed, when many thousands of people out of work or whatever. So Calgary is not new to this. But what's interesting now is you're seeing businesses now more and more so in debt. And I don't recall off the top of my head what the figure is, but the CFIB, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, has talked about the thousands and thousands of dollars in debt that businesses, more in debt that businesses have gotten into because of the pandemic, right? And all the support programs and loans, et cetera, that they've had to take out. So
yeah, absolutely. And a small business month, of course. So it's great that we talk about that, right? And I feel like so many businesses sort of fell through that gap sort of, okay, there's CERB, there's there were all these different programs that were available. And there was a huge segment of the business community that just did not qualify really for any of those. And you're just, you're holding on for dear life. And at what point do you kind of go, I don't got this. I don't, I need help.
Yeah. Interesting point. So where does someone get to that point? When can they realize they're at that point of, boy, I better make a phone call or I better seek help?
Yeah. I do this presentation on the warning signs that, your debt is overwhelming. And, human nature, I can think of situations in my own personal life. I think in human nature, we tend to sort of wait until it's like we absolutely must do something. And that's when we take action, right? Like we're, oh my gosh, this is now, this was a cut, but now there's pus and gangrene, and oh my God, I better go see the doctor now. I might have my hand amputated, right? So I would like to say with your debt, don't wait until the creditors are calling and you can't sleep at night and they're putting a lien on your home and you're worried about CRA. Like, I would say the minute you kind of start to feel like, it's not business as usual, or it's not my usual fine, things are feeling a little bit tight, they kind of just start to feel like, I don't know how much longer we can hold on. That's the time to reach out, make that phone call. And the biggest thing is it's fear. Okay. It's fear that stops us because we think we're going to be judged. We're going to get a slap on the wrist. Fear of this unknown, what's going to happen. So let me remove that veil. If you call Bromwich and Smith, you're going to get an empathetic human being that's not going to judge you, that's going to listen to you, that's going to walk you through what all of your options are so that you can then go and make an informed and, empowered decision. And that, like when you take action, you take your power back. So I just want to remove that veil so you can get away from fear. Fear is of this unknown. Now you know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was great, Taz. I appreciate you taking the time to talk about this.
Thanks, Mario.
All right, that was Taz Rajan, who is Community Engagement Partner with Bromwich and Smith in Calgary. This has been Business Insider with Mario Toneguzzi on YYC Business, brought to you by MegaPixx Media. Thanks for joining us.